on this edition of the Self-Publishing Show.
Once you hit that market and it does well and people are then doing their own TikToks about it, we've had people tag us in videos that have got 500,000 views about Zodiac Academy. So we're not even doing it at that point. Like, if that's doing it for you, like, and people are recommending it, then it's amazing.
Publishing is changing. No more gatekeepers, no more barriers, no one standing between you and your readers. Do you want to make a living from your writing? Join indie bestseller Mark Dawson and first-time author James Blatch as they shine a light on the secrets of self-publishing success. This is the Self-Publishing Show. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
Hello and welcome to the Self-Publishing Show with me, James Blatch.
And me, Mark Dawson.
Mark, we've got lots to get through this week, and I've got the terrifying prospect of picking up my daughter and her driving home from school in a minute, so I need to...
Oh, well, it's been nice knowing you.
Yeah, exactly. She has a test on Monday.
Right, okay, that's going to be interesting.
I generally avoid driving with her because, you know, dads and daughters can argue a bit, and she doesn't take a blind bit of notice to anything I say, but we'll see how that goes today. Anyway, on to more important things. We have lots to talk about today. We have a brilliant interview with two superstars in the indie publishing world at the moment. People, the couple of sisters who we've had on before, but since we spoke to them last time have exploded, and they were number one in the store a few weeks ago. Not literally. In fact, she told me, I think Caroline said that not that long ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they had 7 books in the top 100, all 7 in one series in the overall.com store. So they're doing fantastically well. So we get inside, and spoiler alert, TikTok is playing a huge part in their jump to the top of the charts. Which brings me on to Ads for Authors, which is open at the moment, and the new TikTok for Authors module is being added to it very shortly. I've been working on that breathlessly the last few days, just got off the latest session, liaising with Lila and James. We tidy everything up. So Ads for Authors is open at the moment for enrollment, last chance before the summer. And if you want to, or possibly autumn actually, if you want a chance of signing on, you've got a few days left to go to selfpublishingformula.com/ads for authors. Okay, we have a Patreon supporter to welcome, I believe.
We do, yes. It's Thomas Mann from Nevada, USA. So thank you very much, Thomas. We appreciate your support and the support of everyone else who stands behind the show on Patreon. We
really do. Thank you very much indeed, Thomas. And also, we have an announcement to make, do we not?
We do, yes. So the live show, which we've been talking about a little bit, our second live show, but the first for 2 years, given the pandemic cancelled it last year, is now. I think if we haven't signed the contract yet. I'm just looking at James. Have we signed the contract, James?
We haven't signed it, but it's fine.
So we haven't signed it yet, but it's about to be signed. It's going to be the 28th and 29th of June at the South Bank Centre, which is the same place we had it last time in London. So that's is it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
It is a Tuesday and Wednesday,
and Wednesday. So Tuesday the 28th and Wednesday the 29th of June. As we record this, we're not in a position to sell tickets yet, just because we're very busy with the Ads for Authors course, but we will be doing that quite soon after the course closes in about 10 days' time. So keep an eye on your email, and also you might want to pop into the SPF community on Facebook, because we'll post there as well when we have a bit more details.
Yeah, I think we do have a waitlist set up if you want to visit that. That's live at the moment. That is selfpublishingformula.com/SPS live. Self-Publishing Show Live, that stands for SPS Live. And we are going to set up a Facebook group. I don't know if we've done... Will we have done that by the time this goes out next Friday? Probably.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
But if you're in our main community, you'll be directed to that Facebook group. I imagine what's going to happen is that people organise things for the Monday, so there'll be some informal stuff. Authors will gather on the Monday in London and perhaps do some stuff, have some fun, or do some work stuff, some authory stuff. And the conference itself is going to be fabulous and a really great opportunity. Certainly, I know we've had a few false dawns, but it certainly sort of feels all the stuff we're reading from scientists at the moment does feel like we are in the end game finally of this bloomin' pandemic. So there'll be a great chance for us to, I think, reunite in June. Yeah, looking forward to that. Good. Okay. Well, look, that's the big news today. So, as for authors, it is your last chance. And after you've listened to this interview, you may even be more motivated about that course. So, this is Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valencia. They're actually sisters. Suzanne's married that's a married name. They write dark romance, bully romance. And actually, in prep for this interview, I can't read a book for every interview I do, but I was so fascinated by their overwhelming success. We were in Vegas actually together looking at them. It's just after Vegas they hit number 1 in the store with their latest release, which is terrific for them. And I was so fascinated by how these subgenres in romance work. It's the second romance book I've read of one of our contributors, and it was an eye-opening experience. I can tell you that, Mark. It was an interesting experience reading a bully romance book set in a prep school in America, and but gripping, good page turning, all the fundamentals that are going to be there in a book that gets to number 1 in the store.
I don't want to know about gripping. Let's
move. This happens in the interview. There's almost impossible. Yeah, it's almost impossible to discuss this without falling into a double entendre. But yeah, so just a little bit of history. I suppose my first I knew of Caroline and Suzanne was that Caroline came to 20 Books Vegas in 2019 and tapped me on the shoulder. Our drinks evening, so she listens to the show, and we had a chat. And she was based in Kent, and then the two girls came to, shouldn't say girls, women came to the self-publishing show live, the first time we held it in 2020, and came on the boat with us that evening and survived the COVID fest that we put on for everybody. Nobody got COVID, as far as we know. And between those two events, I think Caroline said they just had gone full-time. They were still sort of helping out with the cattery that their parents owned, but they've more or less gone for full-time. By the time I met them on the boat, they were talking about 5-figure months. And by the time we met in Vegas, we're not going to talk. They've asked not to discuss precise money, which is completely understandable. Lots of people do that. But I can tell you, looking at the charts and knowing what we know and what we can extrapolate, that there are large sums of money, and they're doing really, really, really well, we should say, in that sense. Okay, look, let's talk to Caroline and Suzanne and find out what their secret sauce is.
This is the Self-Publishing Show. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
Here we are, Caroline and Suzanne. Welcome back to the Self-Publishing Show. Great to have you on here again. Sisters here in the UK. We spoke to you and you were flying along. You'd done so well, but I think we think probably about 18 months since we last spoke, it's been a phenomenal ride for you two. And just a glance at the Amazon charts recently will tell you how successful you've been. How does that feel?
It's crazy.
It'll sink in one day, maybe.
Yeah, we're still just little, like in our little bubble, just writing in this room, and we don't it is starting to sink in, but yeah, it's mad. It's really mad.
So just to put this into context, your main series, which is the Zodiac Academy, you had a book launch recently, I think, which was book 7. I'm a bit confused actually about your books because 8 seems to be not there in your list.
Yeah.
There's something going on there.
It's on pre-order, and then 9 is book 1 retold from the male point of view.
Okay. So 8
we wanted to put it in the list so that people could find it, basically.
I see.
Yeah.
But the release recently was 7, wasn't it?
7.
Yeah.
Which
7 out of the main book. Yeah.
Shot to the top of the Kindle charts, the whole Kindle charts.
Yeah, it was insane. That day was mad. We were just like,
Get refreshing and like.
Yeah.
I think we got it in Australia and then Canada, was it?
Yeah.
Or the Canada and the States at the same time. We were just sort of there, just like.
I couldn't believe it.
We'll go over the series again in a second and talk about the writing and so on. But just about that release bit then. So did you do anything particularly different, or is this just the build up of your fans and your fan base that shot it to number 1?
Like we've had it go crazy. I mean, the series was popular. It was one of our top series before it went absolutely insane. But it was
always like it was doing well, but not like it wasn't our top one. It was, we thought contemporary sells better than fantasy. We were kind of shifting more contemporary. Like they're still doing both, but we were starting to think that the contemporary was more the bigger market, weren't we?
Yeah. And then basically got on TikTok and were able to reach a massive audience on there who were kind of really hungry for that genre. And it just hit really big. We had one TikTok do really, really well. And then just in general, we've just had TikToks do well, and we found it like a really good marketing tool, which has just helped the series just get out there, because it is one of the hardest things is finding readers. Like always, that is the thing.
Where are they?
Yeah.
Well, I think to be fair, I think you found them.
They're on TikTok.
They're on TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah, they're on TikTok, not realizing they're waiting for books.
Yeah.
So we will talk about TikTok, and that is amazing. And yours is one of a number of books that we could list that have got to number one in the Kindle charts, apparently as a result of TikTok. And by the way, songs have got to number one in the charts and sold millions also as a result of being launched on TikTok. It's an incredible platform at the moment for creators.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I remember when we were in Vegas together, and I think you were looking at Suzanne, because I think you did quite a lot of the TikToks, and Suzanne, you did a few, and then you started doing them. And we were just looking at the figures going up with the couple you did while we were in Vegas. And Caroline was like, oh my God, these are blowing up as well. So both of you are throwing yourself in there. And you should go and check out Caroline and Suzanne on TikTok, because you're very funny and they're very good.
No shame.
No shame. No, I wouldn't say that. But you put yourself out there, shall we say? I mean, like an actor gives themselves a little bit to a performance. I think you do that, and that's not inside all of us. I do rather.
You have to commit to it. I think that's the thing. You've got to just don't worry about it.
If you feel awkward, everyone can tell.
Yeah, you've got to go all in.
Let the weird show.
I see you're on TikTok now.
I am. I'm just starting. I haven't done any dancing at all yet, but I'm finding my own voice on TikTok.
Duet us.
Yeah.
Yes, I will duet you. Well, let's talk about TikTok, but I'm going to park that for a bit and just carry on a little bit with this incredible launch that you had recently. And sorry, something else about book 7. Did I read the page count right?
Yeah, it was our biggest one ever.
311,000 words.
It's 994 pages.
It's actually 1,040, technically. Oh, no, that's paperback. Because the paperback version, we have to condense for Amazon because they only have 760 page limit. But for the Ingram one, it's 1,040 pages with all the extras in it. But yeah, the Kindle is 900.
I probably have
pages.
one. It's a brick.
Yeah,
it's around. I mean, that is unbelievable. And I think in my mind, I always thought romance books tended to be shorter reads and people would sort of rip through series quite quickly. But in fact, I have just read, I'm going to talk about one of your books because I've read The Kings of Quarantine, which I finished a few days ago.
So you're in the deep end.
Feeling a little bit brutalised and traumatised from reading that book.
Did you only read book 1?
I've only read book 1.
That's the one. That's the one that destroys you.
I've got some questions anyway about you two.
I'm so excited about this.
And
is it about your attraction to the Night Keepers?
You don't know why you want them. There's so much.
You're feeling things
Suzanne,
you've never felt before.
I don't know why I want them. I don't know why Taysom wants them. I don't know why anyone wants them, but apparently we all do. So that is a weird thing that I do want to talk about dark romance, because the reason I read it is because it's just not a genre that I'm familiar with. And on the outside, it seems a bit odd to me, but blokes behaving really badly and yet somehow being the heroes. And I wondered how it worked. And I've read this book and I'm still wondering how it works. Yeah. But we all talk about it anyway.
You have to get somewhere near book 3 before you start to figure out how
Caroline
it works.
did say to me, she sort of sucked her teeth in a little bit and I said, I'm going to read that one. She goes, well, it's
I think all the ones to choose. That's
our darkest series, probably.
Wow, it is dark.
Just jumping straight in.
It's brutal, but we'll talk about the genre in a bit. Look, so book 7, huge book, 994 pages. In a series that had been going on TikTok, you think probably is the difference between it being a similar launch to your previous book and a phenomenal out of this world launch that book 7 was.
Yeah, I think
we've been building generally, I think, but TikTok's gotten Zodiac to go up higher. We got 9 at number 9 with Paradise Lagoon.
Yeah,
so we cracked the top 10. That's book 4 of our contemporaries. We do find the following ones in the series tend to.
Yeah, so we got to number 9 in the store in, I think it was November that released. No, September or something. Oh, we get so lost.
We get so lost.
I do as well.
It was our release that was previous to this one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we've been coming along.
We're hoping
we're like top 10.
Yeah.
So we got 9. So we were like, held it for about 4 hours.
Yeah.
Well, it's brilliant. It's so exciting. And I know you're in our SPF community and we talked to you, you've had her on the show before and you've you came to our show, and I think number one in the store, in fact, I know number one in the store today is Lucy Scores, another one of our...
Yeah, I saw that.
In fact, numbers 2 and 3 are also members of the group, not as active, but they're all there. So it is very exciting to be in this community and having people doing so well from
amazing.
it. So let's talk about the books, and then we'll talk about TikTok. I think that's definitely worth chatting about. But the books themselves. So the Zodiac Academy, as you say. So I did wonder, actually, when I was reading Kings of Quarantine, which is obviously a lockdown-inspired book and is set in a public school, which I think you've used before in another series, the Everlake Public School. Did I see that? Or is that just this one series?
It's just that one.
That one series has that one, yeah.
Okay.
We have the United States of Anarchy, so we have 3 series linked. They're in the same world, but the others aren't set in a school setting. So we've got Uncle Niall, who you probably haven't met.
No.
Has a series where they're a gang of psychopaths who go out killing people for fun. And then
sounds similar to what I've just read.
Also a romance.
Also a romance, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I will get you to explain this to me in a minute.
And then Sinner's Playground is like gangs, which is again in the same world. So there's some crossovers with characters, but not in the same school.
But you alluded earlier to the fantasy elements. I did wonder if in Kings of Quarantine, because there was a kind of ritual, mythical past going on, whether there was going to be a fantastical element, but it wasn't actually. It stays. Well, I hope it's not a spoiler. It does stay kind of real world. There's no magic in it.
Yeah,
but
that's contemporary. Yeah.
So that's contemporary. Zodiac Academy is magic. Are both of them though that thematically dark romance you describe it as, with the male heroes? Just will you explain to me what a dark romance is?
Those 2 are both bully romance.
Yeah.
So where the guys are actually bullying the heroine, that can say. So Zodiac is bully as well. So we did Zodiac first. So that's that is a school setting. So that's the most similarity we have. But obviously with the fantasy element, it's a bit different. We call it kind of Harry Potter for grown-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very dark.
Very dark. Yeah, it's Voldemort on Hogwarts.
In general, like all of our books are dark romance, and then it's sort of levels of that. So there's like kind of that general theme goes through all of them, but we do fantasy and contemporary, so it's all different settings.
That's funny, actually. I think there is a moment in the Kings of Quarantine where you have the heroine musing to herself, "I wish I had a Dumbledore. I wish, because I'm in Hogwarts, but it's only Slytherin." Where they, I think there was a little wordplay about them slithering. I won't do the rest of the sentence, but yes. So that's interesting, and obviously, we can see from the results this is something there is an appetite for. So who are your audience? Presumably not 55-year-old men most of the time.
We have some men. We're getting more men.
Yeah, it's usually the wives who convince their husbands to read like Zodiac or something because they just like want to talk to someone about it.
Or they've been laughing their heads off, and then the husbands are just like, "Why are you laughing so much?" And then they want to read it. Also, we try to be funny.
Yeah, I think. Obviously, it's like dominantly women. 99% women.
Romance is the women's.
Yeah, I think that Zodiac is a lot of people that were like grew up with Harry Potter and now have like moved on to like darker books, and they're looking for like that Harry Potter kind of element again, like
the adult themes.
Yeah, but more adult story to it. So yeah.
So do you think sort of you're talking about mid-30s, 40s? Do you think your audience?
I think our audience now, our highest audience is 18 to 26, but then very closely with 26 to 34. But it's literally right through. And to be honest, there's under 18s. We just don't acknowledge them because they shouldn't be reading it. And right up to the 60s, our Facebook group is pretty spread, like pretty, the stats on Facebook. Yeah. So that's probably.
Well, you are very funny, by the way. It is a funny book, and the funniest scene actually is the denouement to the book. I remember it a few days ago, but it's obviously set in lockdown, and there's this massive violent battle going on about toilet paper, and it was a very zeitgeist. There's a couple of 1 minute, I think the heroine screams at somebody, "I need some hand sanitizer," and I thought you couldn't get a more zeitgeisty story.
Whilst trying to kill each other.
Yeah, and a couple of years
what happened.
That would have been mental, wouldn't it? A couple of years ago. As now people are thinking, yes, you would be killing each other over toilet paper and hand sanitizer. But so
they built the toilet paper throne in the following books. So
they did in book 1. We had the toilet paper throne.
They did do the toilet paper throne. There you are. Yeah.
I don't think anyone ever sat on it, but it was there.
Someone had to.
Yes, it was. This is funny, and I was laughing, So Zodiac Academy, which is the series that's really flown, but as you say, your contemporary romance, you did that as a lockdown project, those 3 books, and I can see on the shelf behind you, if you're watching on YouTube, is the Fae series. Is that right? Or
yeah. Dark Fae's at the top.
Oh, the Fae's at the top. Yeah. What's the series?
Oh, wait a minute. No, it's a Fae's in the middle. It's hang on. King's there.
Yeah.
That's Caged Wolf. So that's a Solaria spin-off,
which is Zodiac. Same world.
Zodiac, same world. Those two are Mafia contemporary MFs over there. They're just on their own little world. And then the Dark Fae, they're all in the Solaria.
What's Dark Fae? Oh, that's Zodiac spin-off as well.
That's a Zodiac spin-off prequel series. Then Zodiac, and then little Death Club down there in the back, and the Sinners, they're all in the United States of Anarchy. I think that's all of it.
Contemporary United States of Anarchy.
Yeah, we should have grouped the contemporary and the fantasy, but we haven't.
That's okay. Most people are listening to this, but just so I get straight in my head. But all of your books have a similar dark, in the broad dark romance. Romance goes down so many layers, but broadly. So can you talk to me about where that comes from, and is that something you read, and what you think the appeal is about women reading strong, verging on, and in some cases, very much bullying male heroes?
Mm-hmm. It's the redemption arc, I think.
Yeah.
It's that, like, the first story, you kind of want them to hate the guys.
Yeah. With like Kings of Quarantine, like, people literally reading it and they're like, I will never, ever forgive Saint. I will never love Saint. I will never. Did you get the letters in that one, or is that book 2?
No, it's the first one.
Yes, the letters. It was just
right, so everyone's just like, that's literally, there is nothing this man can ever do. And they're like, I hate him. I want him dead. There's nothing he can do. And then we're like, challenge accepted. And they get to the end of the book 4 and they're like, why do I love him?
Okay.
So they need like a strong backstory, and like, he's dealt with a lot of things. He has an awful father, and he's been brought up in a horrible way and stuff. So I
think with all dark romance is about the guy being kind of broken and maybe is terrible to the girl, but the girl, through him falling in love with her, becomes that better person, and you find out the reasons for why he did all those terrible things.
Yeah, and he will redeem himself, usually just to her. Like, he's usually just still terrible to everyone else, but the change for her, like, she becomes his queen and his everything, and he bows at her feet and
still a
bad boy. Bow at your feet and do everything that you want. Kill a man for you, or 2 or 3.
Exactly. So there's a bit of the power imbalance. There's a sexual power imbalance, which is quite a traditional area of sexual politics. We don't necessarily need to go into in this interview, but there's also, you think, a power that the female has ultimately over the bully, which is an important part of it.
It's about the female power in it. But now we have really strong girls. They don't just take the crap from the guys. They will always, like, they'll make them suffer for it. Like with the bullying in Zodiac, Darius and Tori, like the stuff he does to her in book 1. We're at the end of book 7, and like, people are just starting to forgiving him. They wanted her the forgiveness to be there in book 4, but it's like, like, he's got to work for it, and she won't put up with it. So and then they've got to prove and change everything to prove that they can be worth it. So it's a balance. Obviously, there are lines.
We should mention also that obviously Kings of Quarantine and a few of other series are reverse harem, which is when the girl ends up with multiple guys, and that the root of that again is like a female power thing, I think, and her sort of having this sort of army of guys around her and like enamored with her at the end of it, and her being this really strong figure in the middle of them, and that you're kind of forming like a family unit out of them as the ultimate goal, and kind of getting everyone together. We also have, often in our series, we have the guys hate each other just to make it extra fun to try and get them on
reverse
board.
harems are often groups. Kings, they're friends. The 3 of them are friends, but generally that's a lot of the reverse harems like that. We like them to hate each other, and you're like, they will never ever. We had like leaders of rival gangs in Dark Fae who literally want each other dead.
We have this thing in the Solaria world called astral adversaries, which is basically the stars have chosen you to hate each other and drive against each other until one of you kills the other one. And we have 2 of them are in the harem of Dark Fae. So obviously we have to find a way to overcome that to get them to work together in the end.
Unless they die, which, we'll never say they won't.
So this is
how we resolved it.
Okay, so was this a genre you were reading before? What led you to writing it?
I think we wrote Dark Fae. We hadn't really read any.
I basically hadn't read any at that point.
I think I quickly read like a couple just to get the idea.
So why did you choose it then?
It was like popular at the time, and we wanted to do this spin-off series and kind of just had ideas for it, and we thought
it worked for that setup. So because it was she's investigating. Her brother's been murdered, and she goes to this school and is investigating the 4 guys. She knows one of them killed him. So we're like, well, if she falls in love with all of them, then that'd be awkward, wouldn't it?
So again, you do like writing yourself into this corner and writing yourself out of it, which is the same thing thriller writers try and do. They pile on everything that could possibly go wrong for somebody as a kind of challenge.
That's what we love, and we just
they're quite story heavy.
Yeah, like the more fun it is.
Our books, the word count in our books is high because they are very story heavy. Like a lot of romance can be like shorter, which is great for that. But for us, we quite like a long story and a heavy plot. So then we're like, oh, it's just 5 books, but they are all like 250 to 300,000.
Yeah, and for reverse harem, I don't think there are many, if any, reverse harems out there that are that long. We just went in with these massive books.
Well, don't worry, we will finish it with this book, and it's just the size of almost 3 books.
I can't quite get over the size of book 7. I was thinking, was there a mistake on the Amazon page? 994.
We were doing it up to the deadline as well, so we were working. It
had to be uploaded Saturday night, and we didn't have it done, so we had to do it on the Sunday. And we were like, let's just hope it goes through.
Oh, it was
it's like our most pre-orders ever.
It echoes your stories. You got yourself into a corner and had to write way out of it. So you started off with the series, and we should say that I think it's a family business that you were running with your mum and dad. And did you sit down and consciously say to each other, we want to be professional writers? Or did it start as a hobby and grow from there?
I think first thing was just we wanted to write a book. And then we did
we wrote as kids and just kind of both like writing all kinds of things, putting stories together.
When we went to both write, we wrote books separately, but we weirdly started writing at the same time.
I think we both kind of been like doing a bit here and then it didn't go anywhere. And then a bit there.
I remember we were like driving in the car to like deliver a cat because we used to take the cats home from the cattery.
So the family business is a cattery, which I didn't mention, but
it's
not just a random. We deliver
delivery service.
Delivery.
You didn't want this, and it's really impressive. Yours for life.
Yeah. Clause for life. Yeah. Anyway. So you were delivering the cat. Yeah.
And I think like we just sort of said something like, oh, I'm writing a book. And then we both were like, oh yeah, I'm writing a book. And then we just kind of, since the start, we've always edited each other's books and like helped each other with each other's stories. And like we just
wanted to get a book written, didn't we? So we both each did a book,
once we had
each other.
Book, we submitted to
Trad
publishers. Didn't really hear anything back. Got vague rejection. And then we found out that Amazon KDP publishing, self-publishing, and they have the little video on the website, which is still the same video, which I can't believe they've never changed. Like the little stick man being like, "Can publish with Amazon." So that was, we just thought that sounded great. It does sell it, to be fair, and then. I mean, nothing really. I mean, I think yours did okay.
I did. I tossed it up. I think I don't know if it's even still a thing, but like where people used to get the boost of just being a new book. So I made like about £500 for the first 3 months and was like, oh, like I'm making like, because that was like a quarter of my wages or something for the month suddenly, but then it just went away.
Yeah.
But then like my second book brought it back a little, but it was never really, then it kind of just petered off after that. But I didn't do anything. It just did that. It just did.
But you didn't do it. There was no marketing.
It was literally. Hang on. Alexa, stop. Alexa, she
drives us crazy.
She's weird.
She purposefully aggravates us.
Yeah.
She doesn't listen to us.
No.
She doesn't do the things we ask.
She interrupts our conversations quite often with the most random things. She'll start talking. We'll be talking about shopping, and she'll say, "In Iceland today." Is when we're thinking, what? Why? What is wrong with you?
Shut up.
Yeah,
one more just doesn't listen.
She hates your Alexa hates you. Our Alexa's just weird. I think she's having a bit of a breakdown, but your Alexa hates you.
She hates us. She really hates us.
Yeah, interesting. I could see that coming into a new an AI in one of your future books.
We're discussing that.
Yeah, there you go.
And watch the film. There's a film on Netflix. Anyway, you don't care about that.
I'm sure I do. So,
that pregnant girl Netflix dystopian film. Anyway, it was a long rant that I made Caroline listen to.
She's very patient. Who is the older? I forget. The two of you. Yeah. Big sister, little sister dynamic. Just aware of that.
The postman thought she was older, and I'll never let it go.
If you're listening, they pointed at each other, but I think we established Suzanne is the older sister.
Established it through her wrinkles.
That is not fair. And the reason I ask is because you both look very young. Now, Kings of Quarantine, which is the book I read, is first person but multiple point of views. So each chapter you switch characters, but written first person. And I'm assuming you write chapters each. And do you take a character each through the book?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Yeah. So I rotate in the girl, and Suzanne
wrote all the guys.
And that's generally what we do.
You wrote all the guys.
All the guys.
All right. Okay.
I don't know what that says about.
Just turning over in my head. Well, I was wondering. I'm slightly scared of you now. The planning.
You should be scared of my husband.
I feel sorry for your husband. No. The planning then that has to go into that presumably is a lot because you write. I mean, I think you sit next to each other actually writing, don't you? So it's not like you go off into separate houses.
Yeah, we didn't. We didn't always though. But now we do. We found it works better if we are together.
Planning via WhatsApp is not. Don't recommend.
No. So tell me about the plotting process then for that series which you wrote a year and a half ago, whenever it was.
Yeah,
and it's kind of the same for all of our books anyway.
Yeah, we've streamlined it now, but basically we sit down, get a Word doc open, and then we just do it chapter by chapter.
So we'll have like a very vague, this is what the whole series is going to be. This is how many books we think that will take to achieve.
And then the chapter, literally the plans are tiny. They're like a couple of sentences of just like, this has to happen. We try to give ourselves room to be creative with that chapter, but like, we just need to know, like the other one needs to know where that chapter's going to end or like what's going to happen in it generally.
Yeah. In Zodiac, we had like issues where we stupidly had like, one of them would like it would be like the end of a class, and then the next one would literally pick up right there. And then we were like, you know what we could have is gaps in time.
Yes.
We're not having this awful situation where we're like, oh God, I had them in a whole different place. Like,
so that saves us so much now.
Yeah.
Like, Zodiac books 1 to 3 is like 2 months or something. No, like
is it a couple of months?
It's a couple of months, but the first book is like 2 weeks, and we just couldn't get
literally. And the next one was the next day, and we just were like, how? Like every chapter had to end with someone going asleep.
We all do that. I think every writer starts off like that, and then you have this dawning. My first book is literally 10 days in a row. I mean, it's like 24, the TV series. I don't know when he eats.
And with romance, it's like, it's so unbelievable. Like, they're just desperately in love. And you're like, it's been 3 days. So we're like, we have, especially with a dark romance, like, they've had no time to, like, start to actually feel differently about this person because they literally were, like, trying to drown them last week. It's like, it needs to be at least a year.
It's
definitely better at that.
Yeah.
There's a screenwriter I follow on TikTok, actually. He calls it shoe leather. It says you get rid of the shoe leather early so they don't need to go to the... In sitcom, I don't need to go to the refrigerator, and then they don't need to go and unlock the door. Every apartment door in New York is always locked. You always lock. But when he wrote for Seinfeld, the door was open so that the neighbor could shoot in every day. And he said, when you're inexperienced, you have a device of him unlocking the door. But when you get more experience, the guy just comes in. It doesn't matter.
That's so true.
And somebody, gets in their car, and then they can be in the evening at home. Whereas when I was first writing, I had them driving home. Because otherwise, how are they going to get home? You don't have to write that.
Right. It's such a minor thing, but it actually is a skill you don't realise.
It's tricky.
It's tricky. And then once you get it, you're like, oh, right, you can just skip it like this. And even just a little passage of time while they're travelling home, they got home.
Yes.
We don't need to know
the reader's not going to be going, what? Did they teleport?
An old lady who made them get up and give her a seat.
Wow, books get so long.
We only just figured it out.
Yes, just after book 7. So when when you're writing your chapters, there is always a temptation with any writing to get carried away, I suppose is one way of saying it, to discovery write and go in a surprising direction. Do you allow yourself the ability to do that, and would you phone up your other sister and say, look, I know this is where we said we're going to go, but this is the way I think we're going to go now?
I think the way we deal with that is we just circle back round. So like we will have our side stories and everything, but then the chapter just becomes 10,000 words, and then you've circled back to the end where you were planning to end up, and then it's all good. Sometimes if it really went off, like,
if it's something that's
rare,
like going to add to the whole story, but then we just thread that through the rest of the plans for the chapter.
Yeah, we never really, we just circle back. It's always that. We'll just find a way back.
Because we like the planning process is like we're kind of doing all of that, deciding like how and where it's going to go, and we find like that just getting up in the morning and being able to like copy paste that paragraph of what your chapter is and just write. Like it used to be like looking out the window, like now what will it be? Not knowing just where. And you maybe had your end point, but you had no idea how they would get to that end point. Like, I don't even know how you do it like that.
No. And then you always write yourself into a corner if you do that, because you just keep going and going, and then you get to a point where you've gone, oh no, I've just contradicted myself completely, like 10 chapters ago.
Yeah.
And if you plan it, you just save all of that time that you're wasting.
Yeah, it wasn't like our natural way of doing things, but with working together, it just kind of had to be, because we just kept on. And like just little silly things like working together. I mean, a lot of people don't do it, but like we'd write a whole chapter, and then it would like go straight on to like Caroline's chapter. And I just had set mine at night because it was night, and then hers is like the middle of the day. Yeah. But it's literally like run right on from the other, and then you're like, and then it just changes everything. And
we still get the odd inconsistency like that, like the odd.
We had the wedding and stuff, didn't we? And it was raining in mine and not at yours.
Those kinds of things and stuff. We should actually start doing that
a little bit more.
We should put weather into our.
We won't.
We will. Okay. Decided.
Which brings me on to how you get on professionally as sisters.
Terribly. Take me on, James.
It's a burden. A burden I wouldn't wish on anyone.
I would suggest the Amazon charts say otherwise, that you obviously do manage to work. I mean, look, you're smiling and laughing together now. Whether that's nervous or not, I don't know, but you seem to.
Gonna beat me.
Yes.
You will present a united front.
Yes. Having read your book, that does not surprise me that's going on. There's a gun under the table or something. So.
I think we generally get on really well. There's the odd time we disagree. Usually more what it'll be is you write to a point, and then it's like, I remember it particularly in summer. Do you remember with Carnival Hill? And we were just there, and like I'm writing away my chapter. I think I was maybe on the one ahead of you. She just goes, "This is right. It's not right. He's getting forgiven so easily. This is all moving on too quickly." And I just sat there and I was like, But it just carried on. And then about an hour later, I was like, yeah, you're right. This is crap. We need to change it. But like, that's generally the way of like, it might need a minute to kind of marinate.
It does. It's often when it's like the emotions you can't. That's the one thing you can't predict with a plan. So once you get to a point where you've decided something emotionally is going to change, or like they're going to like make up now if they've been, angry at each other for a while. Once you actually write to that point, the characters aren't at that point emotionally, and then you're like, this has to change, because it'll just be forced, and it wouldn't. Yeah. Right. And then obviously if like Suzanne's written a chapter ahead of that we've already set that they've made up, then that chapter has to change. If those are the only times when it's something like that, it is really annoying.
You can get cross.
A little bit. So generally we are a bit better now, because we're trying to stick to that one of us doesn't go ahead of the other. So we are both, I mean, obviously one of us is writing the chapter ahead, but it wouldn't be like, because on occasion before one of us might get 4 or 5 chapters ahead, and then it really does start to get disjointed, because then it's like coming along behind, like, oh no, that's not the way you've done it. And then you're just going, well, you have to change it because I've written all of that. And then it kind of like, so now it's like, we're like, oh, let's just stick. And if one of us gets ahead, then we'll do a bit of like promo or something instead, so that it's we're kind of more in line all the time.
And there's no self-conscious embarrassment about, because the books are spicy, I should say, the sex things. I can't imagine writing that kind of detail with my brother, let's put it that way.
It's like when we first did it, we were like, oh no, and then like,
oh no, penis.
You don't call them penises in the book.
No, nobody wants to.
That's
really.
Just a cringe word.
It's a cringe word. We have a list of cringe words, so we're like, no, nothing moist.
No.
And I think we're dead to it now.
Yeah.
Honestly, like a day in the office, and I don't.
Yeah, just a little note. You've used cock too many times.
You cock, yes. Good. Well, I imagine. I mean, you're pretty well-oiled. Oh God, the language is going to get very well-oiled units now. That's what I meant to say in terms of.
Do you write these scenes in your books?
No, I've had the most fleeting
deadening process.
No, I have emotional stuff in my books about people dying, but I've only had a fleeting. I have in my next book, my work in progress now, which is probably May, does have quite a strong romance element to it, which surprised me, but it sort of came out during the book. But I think maybe I was influenced by you. I don't know.
Maybe.
I was reading it at the same time, but
so you have to decide then if you're fading to black or not.
yes, or the cut to a train going into a tunnel they did in the 1950s films.
But that was we did a poll in our group when it had only about 400 people in, and we were like, do you want us to keep fading to black? And it was a resounding no.
Yeah.
Right.
The market changed, right? So everything that we write now is technically what YA was like. Well, like maybe not the contemporary, but I think like the fantasy is what YA used to be in terms of story. But there was no sex or no swearing or anything, because it was all kind of decided by traditional publishing what the rules were. And that's what we used to stick to, because obviously that was your lines and that's what we'd read like when we were younger.
Yeah, like if you read The Hunger Games or whatever, it will obviously be quite.
Yeah, it's like quite.
It's like that's the line. But then even in trad now, that's changing. Like Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah, that's starting to change
and stuff they're doing. Like,
but indies like allowed it to move along quicker to what the readers basically have. Like evolved to. That's what they want from
which is brilliant, because it's the whole indie thing. It's reader led, isn't it?
That's what's great about it.
Trad, yeah, exactly. Now you mentioned Sarah Jane Maas, so people don't know who she is, but she's another author who's done extremely well via TikTok, and I think that her book is oft quoted there. So let's talk about TikTok. I mean, actually, before TikTok, the other marketing that you do. Last time we spoke, I think it was a mix of Facebook ads and Amazon ads, and I think Suzanne. That's not Suzanne. I think Caroline, you were the one doing that. Yeah, so that's
same.
Still.
I put some images together on occasion.
There you go.
I did a trailer that we put on TikTok, and it got so few views, I deleted it.
All right.
No. It's a good trailer.
It's a good trailer. It did not hit.
No,
but TikTok's it prefers a kind of user generated content, doesn't it? Rather than I've seen some authors recently uploading some quite polished trailers, and I think they're probably not the right environment at TikTok for them to fly. But
we uploaded the Zodiac one, and that's got 50,000 views on that one.
Okay, that's good.
But then that might just be because it's Zodiac and that's what's trending.
Like the people who were viewing the trailer were like, yay, and then like it was getting the reactions and stuff, and then it got like 250 views over the space of 24 hours, and I was like, I'm not leaving it up. I can't bear it. Can't. So it came down.
Well, it's got 50,000 views, but I noticed one of your TikToks has 1.5 million views. So you have some views there. So before we talk about TikTok, so you're still doing Facebook ads and Amazon ads. Is that a 50-50 split, or do you favor one of those platforms?
Amazon is one of those ones which is like, if your book is selling, then you can do great with Amazon ads because they like to push what's selling. So we always were just kind of like, it vaguely helped us, especially when a book is done well, like it will start pushing that book. The ads will run. So now we are spending more on Amazon than we were, because of that, basically, because we're selling better. But apart from that, nothing's really changed. Like we still spend more on Facebook than we do on Amazon.
Okay.
So then now the only other marketing we've obviously included is TikTok, which isn't paid. That's free. So we haven't tried the paid on that. No.
And you have a mailing list that you run?
Yeah, I think we've got 20,000 subscribers on that now. Which we basically get through. We've got links in the back to the books. We give away, we have the odd like free novella and free bonus chapters, things like that, to drive subscribers to that one. And that's it really. Yeah. We try and give away things in most, we do an email twice a month, and then we try and do a giveaway in every one, so that like it gets signed paperback or something. You can only get it if you're in there. So then we'll put posts around like, don't forget, if you're in the newsletter, then you can, and then that gets people opening, because it's always great when they subscribe and then they don't open. Yes, yeah, we know that. And you have a Facebook group or groups? Yeah, Facebook group that's gone mental this year. So we were, what were we at the start of last year? Was it? We had like 5,000? About 5,000 members in January 2021. We're at 35,000 nearly now. Wow. So that's gone like crazy. Yeah. And Suzanne, I know in Vegas, sorry, again, Caroline, I know that when we're in Vegas, so I'm not rubbing it in, Suzanne couldn't go to Vegas, because I should say that you're a mum, and I think that's probably the reason you weren't there. Is that fair? Yeah, and it was like wasn't it right as Riley was starting school? Yeah, it was just
like her first ever, like she's 5, so starting reception. So I was like,
yeah, of course.
like, yeah, I had to do that whole run thing.
Yeah, and when we're in Vegas, Caroline, I noticed that your team you've recruited quite a team now to help you, because it obviously is a bigger operation you're dealing with, particularly if you two are going to have time to write. And you've built your team from your readers?
Yeah, so the team, that was the first time. So we have 2 online PAs who help us, and they basically came to us, was it a couple of years ago now?
Yeah.
The group was getting big on Facebook, and they just came to us like, I think you need help, like, because we just weren't doing basic
we
things.
Didn't know some of the stuff, but it was like we didn't even know you could have post approval. So people were posting spoilers, and people are like, oh, you've ruined the book, and we were just like, I can't, we're trying to be, and we were on there all the time trying to like delete
to moderate it yourself,
and then like they just came to us and they were like, we can turn on post approval and we can look at those posts for you. And we were like, I didn't know that was a thing.
So they've helped us out, and then like we subsequently took them on as PAs to do various stuff. So when we met them, they became friends through our books. They'd been fans of our books, and they hadn't met. So in Vegas, it's the first time they'd met each other. The first time I met them. And it was really cute.
Yeah.
It was like a really
all right.
We had a great time. Everyone was like asking up Suzanne so much. It was really sad that she couldn't be there.
So sad. You seem so sad.
We are. We're so sad. We can't stop smiling how sad we are.
Yeah, it seems like it ruined your whole trip.
Yeah. Next year, Suzanne, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. So they helped out with the little signing that we did that week. And then what was really cool was 2 of our narrators came and flew out to say hi as well. So they were there at the
Carol, I met everyone.
I did get to meet everyone. It was amazing. But sorry.
Okay. Well, let's talk about TikTok, because it is the platform that's just got things moving for quite a few authors now. And unusually, we do talk about Facebook in particular, and Amazon being pay to play now. A few years ago on Facebook, you could access thousands of people with a post that people shared and liked, and Facebook gradually changed the algorithm. So if it's an organic post by yourself, it's going to be seen by you and a few friends, and only those friends who interact regularly with you, not even all your friends. If you want to get a wider audience on Facebook, you pony up the money and you use the ads platform. TikTok is at that early stage now. It's at that organic stage where they're desperate to grow the platform, and good posts travel quickly. So without spending any money, a lot of authors are seeing really great traction and sales, and clearly you are a great example of that. So tell us how you got onto TikTok in the first place, and what your kind of evolution of posting on that platform is.
So I just went on during I think it was like the first or second lockdown in the UK. Everyone was talking about it as like the thing, like millennials were all joining the TikTok and ruining it for Gen Z, apparently.
Of course.
Yeah. But it was just like a really entertaining platform. I just found it like funny, really. I didn't even think about it for business, to be honest. It was just something I joined. But then I think we started seeing some people posting about their books and things. And a couple of people saying in like the 20 books group that they were doing well with, I didn't believe it. Suzanne, always the cynic.
It's like, don't really see it. Like, don't really see it, really. Just random little videos.
Sit down at your desk, Caroline, start writing and get off TikTok.
Yeah. I was like, no.
I'm just like, what's this top tick on about?
Yeah, what is the top tick? Yeah. Sounds like John Dyer. Yeah.
It's basically true.
Yeah. But you persevered, Caroline.
I did, and then I spent a lot of time sort of on it, so I started to understand it, because it's a bit weird. Like when you first go on there, it kind of throws all kinds of videos at you so you're trying to like learn what you like, and then it will show you videos more personalized to you. So once you get to that stage of it, then it's like it becomes quite fun and quite funny, and you start to see the trends and the same sounds coming up all the time. So I just sort of had a go, really. I did a few videos and started catering them to books after probably the first 3 that I did of my dog.
Serious?
Yeah, serious. And then I did one that was just like, it was just like a silly one about what the theme was. It was like, oh no, if I am out here in the woods and a fey prince comes along and takes me away, I was just like, don't catch me. And it was so stupid. It wasn't even about books really, but it was like, it obviously hit the book area and got like 80,000 views or something ridiculous. And then I used that same sound to do a one about books, and it just went, I think that was like 150,000. So then I was like, well, this is good now. So I just kept doing, and
then we could see the spike on our, we could go and look and you could see the spike, and obviously like on the
KDP dashboard.
That thing, and then on the dashboard. So you could look and be like, oh, it is a thing. It does convert. So,
and then just randomly did that one, which I'm basically like pretending I'm crying, saying, I wish there was an adult Harry Potter with spice. And then at the end of the video is me with Harry Potter book throwing Zodiac Academy down on top of it. And that's all it is. It's about 6 seconds. And that just went 1.5 million people saw that. And we just got this huge spike on sales. And ever since, it just snowballed. Like even that first month was nothing compared to the continuation, because we already had like maybe even 6 books out at that point. 5. At least
it was only like this last year, wasn't it? So the 6 were out.
Yeah. So we had all that massive series there with and people buying it on Kindle. And we saw what was one surprising thing, because we never really have sold many paperbacks, and TikTokers, I think, are big paperback readers as well. So we just got a huge spike in paperback sales as well. And it's just snowballed ever since then, because I think once you hit that market and it does well and people are then doing their own TikToks about it. Yeah. We've had people tag us in videos that have got 500,000 views about Zodiac Academy. So we're not even doing it at that point. Like it's doing it for you. Like if the people are recommending it, then it's amazing.
Yeah. And I think we've like figured out like the paperbacks, they affect the algorithms, like the chart wise as well. So like it's we got our paperbacks sorted out. We've had them all formatted, redone. We've got all nice fancy interiors inside and got all the covers redone and everything.
Yeah, I think we underestimated as well. Like especially TikTokers seem to have this thing about having a really nice looking book on their shelf. So if you've got the really nice full wrap, we'd like to get hardbacks going as well. But because I think Zodiac is quite an attractive cover and everything, all of that kind of helped as well, because they have all their lovely bookshelves behind them, people that are recommending the books.
They'll have to reinforce the roads if you're going to do a hardback version of Zodiac 7 being delivered across America. Look at the highways breaking apart and the lorries burdened down. Sorry. Well, that's great. And what's your strategy now with TikTok? I know both of you have your own accounts. Do you try and post? Is there a frequency you try and do, or do you have a strategy?
We try, because we're so busy writing and that we do fall behind a bit. Like I think I did 2 last week. My general plan is to do at least one a week, but as much as possible. But it is hard because obviously we're still doing everything ourselves, like in terms of promo and writing these massive books. So there isn't as much time as we'd like to be doing that. But as much as we can, we do get videos out. It's also like once you get to a point, there's only so many trends around that you couldn't do like constantly doing trends. You'd have to do, I think like some authors do like stuff where they talk to the camera and just chat about the books and stuff. But I just don't have time. So it's kind of like for maximum impact, just get a trend up whenever we can.
Yeah.
And you're doing that a bit more now, Suzanne?
A bit more. I'm trying anyway. I mean, Christmas, I was like, over Christmas we had 3 weeks off. We were like, Zodiac murdered us, so we were like, let's just take some time off. And I was like, I'm gonna do some TikToks, have them all, and I didn't do it because I was just so tired. And then I'm like getting back now, and like we've rearranged our whole work pattern because like we were literally working like 13-hour days, weren't we? 14, 15-hour days. So now we're stopping when I go to the school run. So 2:30, that's it. We're done.
Yeah.
So that means I now start work at 5. But just in amongst that, I struggle to get time to make a TikTok, and then obviously I don't. Once the school runs, we're trying to like, that is it. Like we're not doing it. We're not working the weekends, and we're not working after that point in time because it like you can't. We just weren't stopping. And it's
the thing is as well. Like TikTok is great, but it is a creative platform as well. So like you have to have the ideas and you have to have the enthusiasm to go in front of a camera and do that. And like sometimes if you're writing, you're tired. Like at the end of the day, really fancy it. So, and to have the ideas, you do need to let it stew sometimes, like you do with the writing, to come up with something that's good.
Yeah, it does require a bit of creative thought and planning. And I'm noticing that just starting mine. And I should give a plug for our TikTok for Authors course, which is due out any time now. I'm not sure when this interview is going to go out. Could even be out by now, but it's clearly a big thing. And you are not the only authors we've spoken to recently for whom TikTok has become an important lever in their marketing strategy. So that's good to hear. Good. Well, don't work too hard. How many words do you write today?
10,000 plus each.
Wow. That's another secret to your success.
It's gotten up. Well, one chapter. Well, like just one chapter a day. But they just end up being 10,000 words.
Yeah.
I did one this morning. It was 2,500. So,
right.
Yeah, but that was only because you finished work at 9 so that we could do admin.
Yeah. Finished at 9.
Actually, we woke up late, didn't you? So you didn't start till like 8.
I did. Had a lion.
So yeah, I did like 3,000 words this morning, but I haven't even got to the point of my chapter. So.
Right. Well, it is important not to burn out and to look after yourself. Particularly, you've got a dog to look after, you've got children to look after, Suzanne. So
yeah, I mean, our word counts were less when it's every single day. It's every single day forcing 4 or 5k out and then feeling knackered at the end of the day. So when we have this time off, we write more. So we're actually doing the same in less time.
Okay.
So because it was just that, like. just had no life.
Well, look, I'm thrilled for your success. I guess Zodiac Academy's not run its course yet. You've got future books.
We've got one book left to finish that series, which won't release till next year, later this year. Sorry, I realised
we're in
it is this year. It is next year now.
Yeah. One of the spin-offs isn't finished yet.
Yeah.
And then we may or may not consider other spin-offs. We did book one by the boys. There's some demand for further books. We might. There's so many series on the go. We're just determined to finish in series. As soon as we finish soon, we're writing a standalone at the moment that we're doing with a bunch of other authors. So it's a series, but we're doing one out of the 6 books. Okay. So we were like, yeah, sure, let's just do another book.
We've got loads of time. Yeah. Good. Well, look, I could not be happier for your success. It was, I remember the first time I met you, Caroline, a couple of years ago it was Vegas again, wasn't it? 20 books.
It was, yeah.
And then the 2 of you came onto the boat, or came to our conference, came onto the boat in the evening. And, there's an energy between the 2 of you, and it's not an accident that you've been successful. I think to be this successful is incredible, the way you are now. And well, you were literally sitting at the top of the romance tree, with those chart positions. So
still not real.
All power to you. And yes, I now need a bit of therapy as I get over. It's still on the front page of my Kindle. As I
it's your screensaver, isn't it?
It's my screenshot.
Did you?
I'm still processing the
Who's
whole thing.
Favourite?
My favourite out of the 3 worst human beings on the planet, which is my favourite out of them. Obviously,
there's the fourth.
The fourth. Monroe, of course, is yeah. So actually, I was going to ask you that. That's a bit more specific about the book, but in terms of taboo areas with Monroe being a teacher, I sort of felt that you'd gone probably. Was that in your mind that you can't cross that line because that's potentially abusive? And
we did it with Zodiac.
Wasn't it? I could see right away. It wasn't in your mind at all.
No, it was really popular in Zodiac.
It's one of those taboo tropes that teacher is pretty. And they're 18, so it's like...
I mean, okay. I think Dayton's 17 when it starts, when she turns 18, and then Zodiac, they're all 18 plus. So, and the teacher's not old, like...
He's like 23, is he, Monroe? So it's not like...
He's like a PE teacher.
He's a PE teacher.
So that's fine then, yeah. Okay.
He doesn't count as a teacher unless you want him to, and that's your king.
There's me thinking there was this really strict moral lines. You'd very cleverly flirted with them, because he's the one who pulls back quite a lot, saying, "Oh, I'm a teacher," and he deliberately. And I thought this was a deliberate. But
and then possibly by the time he stops pulling back, you'll be desperate for him to stop saying that. That's the point.
Yeah, so I suppose answering your question, Munro is the most sympathetic character, and he's the one who stands up to the boys the most, which is what you want at that stage. Because I did not enjoy. It's a funny thing to say. I obviously enjoyed the book. I really enjoyed the book, and it's brilliantly written. And I thought the last third was amazing. I didn't see it coming. The kind of big battle royale over toilet paper, without giving us spoilers away. But I didn't enjoy the bit where your heroine becomes so compliant, decides to put her head down. And it's just an uncomfortable read, and I don't mean that I didn't enjoy the writing. It was brilliant. But at the same time, I suppose I was supposed to feel like that at that stage. Yeah. This is uncomfortable.
If you read on, like that, at that point, we wanted her completely broken and then to rebuild that whole thing. Yeah. But the second book is all about her getting revenge.
Right.
And it's a really fun one.
Yeah. I mean, she makes a list. So it's like the list of all the things they did, and she gets revenge for each and every one.
Arya Stark like this.
In what we have had feedback that it is satisfying.
Yeah,
the revenge she gets. So it's like, then she's not going to put up with that.
And you get to see the guys just completely fall apart.
Yeah,
of what she does to them. Which is what you want.
It's like it's hard to write, but it was. A lot of people say they're reading it and they're like, "What am I reading?" And they're pausing through because they're so awful, and the thought of them being romantic interest is obviously a bit hard, but
Well, it was a proper if I wanted to know what bully dark romance was about, there was a proper introduction to it, right?
Yeah, some of them aren't as dark as that.
Yeah, and some of them are darker. To be fair, we have lines. We do have lines. It might not seem like it, but there are others you could read if you'd like to find out.
Lines that you leapfrog across. So if you're wondering exactly what I'm talking about, it is The Kings of Quarantine, the first of the series of lots of lockdown brutal boys of Everlake Prep, Book 1. Spoilt brats. Okay, good. Look, thank you so much indeed. It's been lovely. I've taken up a lot of your time, and I know you've got business to run. I look forward to catching up with you again soon. I don't know whether we'll see you in person. Should we have our conference in June, we think now, June 28th, like that?
Yeah, we'll be there.
We'll see you there.
Fantastic. Look forward to it. Well done, and thanks for coming on again.
Okay, thank you.
This is the Self-Publishing Show. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
There we go. Really fun interview with Caroline and Suzanne. They do write a lot, I have to say. Mark, I did ask them in the interview. I think they do 10,000 words a day each now, although they do try and compartmentalise that to weekdays, and they're trying not to spill over to weekends anymore that they used to do. So they write like a lot of romance writers, subgenre romance writers. They do turn out the books, excuse me, which is a very important part of it. And Caroline, we didn't go into a lot of detail about the Facebook and Amazon ads side of things, because obviously TikTok was the big thing that they can see has demonstrably made a big difference and got them a whole new set of readers. But I think Caroline's probably the secret weapon on that side, as Suzanne readily admitted. She does get down in the weeds on those paid ads. But TikTok is it's a platform that's working.
It is, yeah, and I mean, this could just jump over from their example, which you've spoken about in the interview. I saw in the 20 Books group today a poet called Pierre Gentil. I think we've actually had on the show. I think,
yes,
and I just saw. Because he said he was doing quite well on TikTok, and I had a look. He's got 500,000 followers.
Wow!
And is doing extremely well. He could see like 500 sales very, very clearly attributed to his TikToks. So we have had that question: does it work for genres outside of romance? And it does. It clearly does. I mean, there's poetry now. We've seen sci-fi. I think I've seen someone in the SPF group doing quite well. There's subcategories of romance, obviously, and there's an audience there for everything, I think. So it's just a question of finding. I'm trying to. I've done a few for my kids' book, which is actually out today, which has been quite fun. Nothing with me to camera yet, not because I'm bothered by it, but just because I haven't really had time to think about what I would do. It's quite easy to do a top-down shot of a book. Signing some books, that's easy. But to the funny stuff, I need to think about that a bit more. But it's good fun.
It is. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I've been following the course, obviously, because I'm editing it, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit because I'm impatient about these things. I get a little bit of knowledge and then try things and make mistakes and learn. My first few TikToks before any interaction with Leela and Jane at all, I mean, I can look back now. The first one has 195 views. It's been there for yonks. And the one I really put some time and effort into, which was all wrong in the end for TikTok, has 125 views. Then I started listening to them, started staying in my lane, finding my wheelhouse, all those cliches. I did a short series on my favorite aviation books, and those have 1,600 views, 500 views. Then I did a series on my
favorite fast jets.
My fast jet flying, and that has blown up, as they say. I mean, the one from 2 days ago has 15.1 thousand views. The one from 3 days ago has 26,000 views now.
Cool.
Although weirdly, yesterday's has 2,200 views, and I think that's because I posted another one straight after it, very similar. So it's being blocked by that. But yeah, 20,000 plus views for the three main ones in that. And that's happened
that does have footage of you in a Harrier, though, doesn't it? Is it a Harrier or Ton?
It's a Harrier and Jaguar, yeah. But but it's understanding some of the stuff that Leela and Jane talk about in the course that's got me more focused on building the audience that I need, and which I was just doing silly things before. But anyway, there's a lot to it, and it's a bit technical, some of this stuff as well. But I'm enjoying it so far, and that's where I'm speaking now. So it'll be interesting to follow my TikTok journey. What I haven't done yet is held my book up very much and done a sort of very overt post about the book. So now that I've built my audience up a bit, I will try to do that. I'm approaching 2,000 followers now, so we'll see. So yeah, I'm very, very interested in TikTok, as I'm sure you are as well, and a lot of people listening to this are. And I am a 50-something bloke. You know, it's not. I know it's not all young dancing girls on there. I know people say that when they first go on there, but of course, you know, there's like a billion people on TikTok. So whatever you are, there's going to be millions of them, and you will find some. You'll find some audience. Okay, look, I've got a dash because I've got to get in this car. Thank you very much indeed to Caroline and Suzanne. Congratulations to them. They're really sort of holding the torch up for British indie authors, I think, in particular. We look forward to seeing them in the summer at our conference.
Excuse me?
We look, what? Oh, and, they're holding the torch. You can hold the torch as well if you want.
There's only one. How many torches are there?
Okay, there's one torch, but when you're number one in the store...
Yeah, they certainly do. They're doing better than me, that's for sure. No, good for them.
There you go. Okay, look, on that bombshell, let's look forward to the show. Don't forget, you can sign up for the wait list, and we will have tickets on sale next month. We're going to think carefully about how we release them to make sure it's fair to everyone around the world. That's it. All that remains for me to say is it's a goodbye from him.
And be patient with Emily, and goodbye from me.
I'll try. Goodbye.
Get show notes, the podcast archive, and free resources to boost your writing career at selfpublishingshow.com. Join our thriving Facebook group at selfpublishingshow.com/Facebook. Support the show at patreon.com/selfpublishingshow. And join us next week for more help and inspiration so that you can make your mark as a successful indie author. Publishing is changing, so get your words into the world and join the revolution with The Self-Publishing Show.